Those of you who have read the program carefully might be surprised that there's only one person on the stage and not two. My colleague Audun, who was supposed to present with me, has been prevented from attending today, which is unfortunate because he is actually the programmer who made the tool that I'm presenting. I'm Tore Høgås, which is rather an awkward name to have when you work and live abroad, as I've done extensively. Actually, the first time I used Moodle was, I believe, in 2007. We had a private English school in Seoul, South Korea, teaching English to Korean middle schoolers. Any Koreans in the house? No? But now then I'm working for the Norwegian Directorate for Education and Training, so essentially the Norwegian national government. Now we don't do education directly, that's a municipal responsibility in Norway, but we have a Moodle site where we do some, supplementary training in those rare instances where the municipalities are not able to sort of fulfill their responsibilities. Because Norway, as those who saw the presentation from Fretex yesterday heard, is a very long country, few people, sparsely populated, and the different municipalities' ability to fulfill the responsibilities in education varies a lot from municipality to municipality. So that's why we have this service. Another quirk of Norway is we don't have many people, 5.5 million, that's about the same as Greater Barcelona. But we have actually many languages we have to deal with. There are 2 official languages in Norway, Norwegian and Sami, of which there are several written standards. So Norwegian has 2 written standards, Bokmål and Nynorsk. Sami comes in 3 variants, South Sami, Lule Sami, and North Sami. So just in the official languages, we have to deal with 5 different languages. So for us, it's a bit weird that Moodle groups all of this into one main language, Norwegian, and then the other language packs are sub-packs to that main language. And then we have 3 recognized minority languages, Kven, Romani, and Romanes. So the service that we run, called digilær.no, because of the training we provide there, we also have to support some more languages. So we support Arabic, Tigrinya, and Somali. And because of Ukrainian refugees from the war, we also have a service so we support Ukrainian. So our Moodle site, has to support 12 different languages. So obviously for us, translations and the quality of translations is very important. Right, so the challenge for us then is that the Moodle language packs are crowdsourced in the AMOS, so anyone who wants to can just go in online and start translating or suggest an improved translation, or at least a translation. Whether it's an improvement or not might be up for debate. And then there are these language pack maintainers that approve contributions. Any here who has contributed translations to Moodle? There are quite a few, yes. Any language pack maintainers in the room? Same? Right, how about we give you guys a quick applause? When we say that there is a challenge here, that's in no way a disparagement on your work, which is very important. But more a recognition that this is a huge task with thousands and thousands of language strings, and that keep changing when functionality changes. You keep adding new strings with new plugins. Every time some new plugin comes out, it has to be translated into 55 or how many languages, right? So what we've seen is that the quality varies a lot with translations. Just looking at our site, we see things like typos. I've seen typos that actually break placeholders. In language strings, there are sometimes placeholders and other code. So if you have a typo in there, it can actually break functionality in Moodle. We see lack of context sensitivity. Now I'm in the sort of Norwegian context. We see words that are actually valid Norwegian by like dictionary definition, but they're not really used in that way, in that context. Incorrect Norwegian syntax. So you have a translation that where each individual word is valid Norwegian, but the syntax is like in the original English syntax. So we have some issues with some of the translations, and we've actually also, I should say, I'm talking about Norwegian now, but we have funded translations of the Sami languages because they are very small. They're actually in danger of being extinct. So we've funded some translation of Moodle into the three Sami languages I mentioned earlier. All right, so with this challenge, what could be a solution? So again, leaving behind those 11 other languages we have to deal with for now and just focusing on Norwegian, we thought, what about if we build some kind of tool where we reduce the need for manual review of all these like language strings, like 40-some thousand strings, and we can pinpoint which strings need to be manually reviewed, and also help translators and maintainers doing this manual review and using AI. So that was the idea. So we decided to build a proof of concept or POC of such a tool. And this is an external tool as of now. It's not a Moodle plugin or anything like that. We're one of those many apps that was mentioned in the keynote in the beginning of the conference, where we are basically just one of many apps piggybacking on ChatGPT. So we did a test first using the ChatGPT model Text DaVinci 003 via a command line interface. And we only asked ChatGPT to give a thumbs up, thumbs down, is this string a valid translation or not? True, false. So a very simple test, really. Ran all the language strings through that. So we got a result of 10% being considered invalid by ChatGPT. So 10 thumbs down. But that still leaves, for poor maintainers, for about 4,200 strings to review, and that's a lot of work. So that's not very good. Another problem was false positives. So strings that were actually correct, but were flagged as incorrect or invalid. So DaVinci was not a good fit for us. So we went on to the next model, the Turbo 0301 model. These are all like sub-models of the ChatGPT 3.5 model, which has an API connection. So we hooked onto that. And we made a chat where there would be 3 roles. You have a system role that initiates the chat and defines its context, sort of the whole prompt scaping that you need to get good answers. As you know, the quality of the answers you get from ChatGPT is dependent on the quality of the questions you ask. So we had the system role set the context. The user is working on a Norwegian translation of an application used by middle school students in Norway, i.e. our Moodle site. And you are a helpful assistant who will, for each of the user's messages, respond with, in this case, then an integer between 0 and 100, basically a quality rating of this translation. I won't read the whole prompt, but basically the idea is to create a prompt for ChatGPT to give good answers. And then the user asking the questions, or in the process here, like feeding ChatGPT the language strings. And then the assistant, i.e. ChatGPT, answering the questions in the way that it has been told to answer it by the prompt. All right, so actually we did this in 3 separate processes. So for each string in language pack, we would then get 3 outputs. Okay, so when we had the user ask or send in the current Norwegian translation in the Norwegian language pack, we would ask, okay, question 1, is this a valid translation or not? True, false. So basically the same as we did with DaVinci. In a separate process, we would send the same thing, current Norwegian translation, but this time, as you saw in the previous slide, we would ask ChatGPT to rate this translation. How good is it on a scale from 0 to 100, or 1 to 100? And again, in a third process, we would send in the original English language string and ask ChatGPT to come up with a translation. You suggest a translation of this into Norwegian. So what we'll get back would be true, false, rating from 1 to 100, and a suggested Norwegian translation for each of the 40-some thousand strings in the Moodle database. All right, so results of this test then. Something weird is happening where the animation is showing on that screen, but not on that screen. So that's very interesting. So I guess you'll just get it all at once. So as you see now, then you had about 25% where ChatGPT rated 100% and suggested the same thing as is in the original translation, so then it's good to go. About 50% was rated 100%, but a different suggested translation, still probably fine. And then you can go down to a rating of 80 to 100, that's 12%. Rating 30 to 80, that's 7%. Rating less than 30, that's 4%. And rating less than 30 and thumbs down, this is not considered a valid translation by ChatGPT, that's only 1%. So if you're going to do manual review, start here. Right, then you have, if you remember back to DaVinci, we got 10% considered invalid, so you would have to sift through about 4,200 strings. Now we're down to about 400 strings, so that's much more manageable. And of course, as you have resources, you can start there, go up to the less than 30%, the 30 points, the 4%er, and going up the scale as needed. So if we refer back to our goals with this proof of concept, can we reduce the need for manual review of strings? Check. You only have to review 1% of the strings. Can we pinpoint where manual review is most needed? Yes, we get a list of this 1%. So you can just use that list and go through it. And we've looked at this list, and it's a lot of strange text there. And that brings us to the third one. Help translators and maintainers with manual review. Check, because ChatGPT has provided us with an alternative translation, which, again, we've reviewed some of these, and we could just copy and paste them right in. This is perfect translation. So this is a very promising tool and of course, this is just for Norwegian, which is kind of like in a in a sweet spot where it's a small language, so you don't have that many translators, but it's not so small that it's big enough that you have data online, you have a lot of Norwegian text online. Right, so going forward then, this was just like a proof of concept, a test, will this work and how will the results be? And in all honesty, we haven't gotten to do as much with this as we had intended. Again, my colleague who couldn't be here today has, for health reasons, not been working for us for a while. But some of the things we thought about when it comes to improving the tool, not product in it, it says product improvement, but it's not. This is not something we're going to sell or anything. This is open source. We could work on getting like automatic checks on new strings. So when there are new strings, new plugins, we can have the tool automatically check this. We could define parameters where the AI would automatically just fix it for us. So we could have sort of limits that, okay, these in these areas we trust you, you just make the changes, but others will have set aside for manual reviews, so the maintainers still have control. We also thought it could be a good idea to have the AI output its reasons for rating. A kind of like explainable AI. Why did you give this string an 80, or why did you give this string a 30? Which could help also improve the tool going forward. So those are some of the ideas we have. And again, these are ideas that anyone can just sort of grab and go with. We can share. I don't know if our code is open. It's on GitHub. I'm not sure if it's an open repository, but we will share it. And we can use new AI models. We did ChatGPT 3.5, but 4 is already out. There are other models out there you can try. And then ideas for how to sort of disseminate this tool. The lowest sort of level in a way would be to create a Moodle plugin so that everyone just like installs the plugin, connects to their AI of choice, and checks their local install. That would be kind of a very low level use case. Of course, the high level use case would be to integrate with Amos so that package maintainers or even translators could actually use this when they are working on Amos. That way everyone can benefit from their work. Of course, someone has to foot the bill to connect to the AI, because that costs money, right, to subscribe to ChatGPT or what have you. And hopefully the result will be better translations, easier and faster for all languages. That's all I had.
Thank you. That's really interesting. Do we have any questions? We have some time. We've just under 10 minutes. So if we have any questions, please put your hand up and we can go around with the mic. Okay. I've got lots, but I'll let other people ask some questions first.
Thank you for presentation. If I'm right, this algorithm can be adjusted to other languages as well.
Yeah, we just connected it with the Moodle language packs for English, the original language packs, and the Norwegian translations in Moodle. So if you do the same and connect it just to the original language packs and Slovenian or Mexican or what have you, or Spanish or what have you, then you do the same thing.
Great, thank you.
Oh, there's one over there.
Yeah, I have no question, but I have the idea for dissemination that we should, as a Moodle open source community, not rely on ChatGPT, but on that we should look at Hugging Face and find large language models that are free and open source and use them and support this community as well. So we have to struggle with Salesforce in the Moodle partner community, and I don't want to struggle with ChatGPT in the whole Moodle community.
Right, that's actually a very good idea. I hadn't thought of that, but that seems to be the thing going forward, that a lot of people are making their own language models. Of course, big companies are doing that, corporations are doing that. We are looking at some of our interesting, also establishing our own AI systems, but if you had like a sort of Moodle AI that could do this for us, that would be great.
Thanks for the presentation. Tore, is there a kind of consistency? Does it remember that it take one term to translate a certain thing? For example, in German, if you go to Simon to do a submission, that can be eine Einreichung, eine Abgabe. And the thing with human translated thing is there, depending on what year the string was translated, it's sometimes not consistent. Have you done any observation on this? Is it consistent? Is it
no.
wiki, funky?
Yeah, no, we've seen places where, for example, the word site in Norwegian, at some point when someone started translating Moodle into Norwegian, they just made a choice of using the word portal, or portal in Norwegian instead of site. And so ChatGPT keeps suggesting, use the Norwegian word for site instead of portal, which is, but we could just sort of make a kind of like whitelist thing, like, remember in this application when they use portal as the translation, that's okay. Don't fix that. But obviously we would have to work on the prompts to create that kind of sensitivity to the Moodle specific terminology in a way.
I'm curious about how you will continue forward with the much smaller languages that perhaps ChatGPT or some other large language model doesn't have much training data on. Have you any ideas on how to go forward?
Well, actually, I said before that Norwegian is kind of like in the sweet spot where it's big enough that there is some or quite a lot of text online, whereas the three Sami languages, for example, that we have in Norway are too small. That's sort of the problem. But the idea that our colleague over there had about our own AI, maybe we could like train the AI on smaller languages to ourselves to address that inadequacy.
Hi, Tore. my colleague. One suggestion just for this problem with the portal stuff is this solution is actually not marking any translation as, yes, that's what we want. So we're just guessing on the complete result list, seeing ChatGPT taking 50% or 75%, yeah, that's a good translation, but we're not training it. So that would be the next step, if we take our Moodle translation and every translation we take, and then just saying, okay, this one is 100% cool, and then we feed that stuff into ChatGPT, and then we wouldn't have the issue with sites and portals, because we define that's a good result. So that would be, we should train our language model to keep up with good translations.
Yeah. Oh no, the maintainer is mad at us.
I was thinking about consistency, and we have in Moodle.org in our Basque community a glossary of those terms that we use translating Moodle. So you can train this AI with that kind of glossaries of good terms to translate to your language, so you can have best translations in that way.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I didn't. It was in the prompt on the screen, but I didn't read it out loud. But we told in our prompt we told them to use the Norwegian dictionary, But we could also say use the Norwegian dictionary, but also refer to the glossary on Moodle.org, and yeah. Mary?
Well, okay. We've just got a couple of minutes, so could you go back one slide? I think you were talking about the way forward. It doesn't matter. Okay.
Yeah.
And you talked about possibly having a Moodle plugin, but you thought that would be quite low level. Potentially having it in core. So, are you in contact? Do you have accounts on lang.moodle.org, which is the translation site for translators? Have you talked about this there? Have you? Are you in contact with? Do you know David Mudrach, who's sadly not here, but he made Amos basically, and Koen Rochemans, who looks after all of the translators. They're both teaching in schools at the moment, actually, as we speak. They'd be really interested in knowing more about this.
No, we haven't. As I said before, we had expected to come further in this, both in terms of developing the tool itself and the dissemination part. Actually, we thought that maybe someone else had thought of this too.
Well, I shall be speaking to them in our Moodle chat very shortly. Okay.